In this video, we're going to look at the Unit 1 Lesson 4 practice problems. And for these practice problems, you're going to need an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheets open. So for number 1, it says open a blank spreadsheet in A1, type 2, and then we're going to enter some of this information. So I'm going to go to the spreadsheet and do this. So in A1, it wants us to type the number 2 and push enter. Then it says, what should we type into the second cell to generate the sequence 2, 4, 8, 16, 32? So then you want to think about what are you doing to each of the previous numbers to get the next term. So here we're either adding 2 or multiplying by 2. So when we look 4 to 8, okay, that doubles again. So we're multiplying by 2. Times 2 to get 16, times 2 to get 32. So in this one, we're multiplying by 2. So in this spreadsheet, you want to type in equals and then A1 times 2. And you can get this times by pushing shift and then the 8. But so A1 times 2. And now you can just copy and you can fill this down. So you can just paste this down and for however many cells we need to generate. Okay, so if you just push Control V and you just paste it, it'll just multiply everything, the previous one by 2, all the way down as far as you go. And this is too many because we only needed to go to the 5th one. But that's how you would get that. So in the next one, it says, what if we were going to do, instead of timesing by 2, what if we wanted to get this sequence? So what are we doing here? So 2 to get to 4, and then to 6, and then 8, 10. Here we're adding 2 to the previous term. Okay, so over in our spreadsheet, so if we want to delete out this, okay, then we would, whoops. Okay, so let's delete each of these. So now in this second cell, we're going to click equals A1, and then you want to push plus 2. Okay, and you can get the plus, it's shift, and then the equal sign, which is up on the top row, way to the right-hand side by the delete key or the backspace key. So A1 plus 2, and then you can just fill that. So you can just pull this down and it'll fill it. Okay. Or if you don't want to do that, you can push Control C and then you can push Control V, okay, into as many places as you want to fill. All right, the number 2 says, again in a blank spreadsheet, let's take a look at typing in 400 into A1. So let's delete out what we have here. And now we're going to type 400 into the first cell. Then it wants to know, what should we type into A2 to generate this sequence? So in this one, you can see that it's dropping pretty quickly. Okay. So this goes down 200 and then down 100. So this is dividing by 2 each time. Okay. So you can either type in dividing by 2. Okay. Or you can multiply by a half. So we're going to push equals this previous cell, so A1, and then times, and you can type in 0.5 if you want to. So that's taking it by a half. And then you could fill. Okay. Or you could type in equals A1, and then you could hit the backspace 2. So divided by 2. And then that would do the same thing. So then that would fill your numbers that way. Then for the next one, what should we type into A2 to generate this sequence? And so in this one, it's not dividing by the same number, but this one is minus 75. Minus 75. So we're subtracting 75 each time. So in this one, we'll delete that. Equals the first cell minus 75. And then you can just fill it down or push Control Copy or Control C and Control V. And then we see that we get that sequence of minus 75 each time. All right, number 3, if cell A1 says 5 and cell A2 says A1 times 3 plus 2, what are the first 5 terms? So let's get this in. So we want the first cell to say 5. Then we wanted the next cell to say, so we put equals, and then A1 times 3 plus 2. So remember that you get that multiplication by pushing Shift 8. Now it wants to know what are the first 5 terms of this sequence. So we'll fill it down to 5, and then there's our first 5 terms. So then we can just steal these answers. So we have 5, 17, 53, 161, and 485. Next one wants us to put parentheses around A1 plus 2 and then times it by 3. Okay, so we're still starting, and cell 1, we want to have 1. Okay, so we're going to delete this. In the first one, we're going to put a 1. Then we're going to say equals and a parenthesis, A1 plus 2, close the parenthesis, then times it by 3. So we're adding 2 and then multiplying by 3. And then it wants the first 5 terms, so pull that down. And then here are your first 5 terms. So then you can just copy those down. So 1, 9, 33, 105, and 321. And then the final one has us putting 2 in the first cell and then keeping this the same. Okay, so notice that this is the same as the previous one. So I'm not going to delete out my second box. I'm only going to change cell 1. Okay, so I still want this to be the same formula. I just want this to change to a 2. So I'm going to change this to a 2, hit enter, and it's going to change all the other boxes. So if the only thing that changes is your first term, okay, you can just change that, and then it'll calculate everything for you. So 2, 12, 42, 132, and 402. Number 4, still working in a spreadsheet. So find the first 5 terms of a geometric sequence that starts with 5. So this is going to go into A1 and then has a growth factor of -1, which means multiplies by -1. Okay, which is what we're going to do in the second box. Okay, so the first box was -5, and we want to delete all of this. Okay, and then we want to have a growth factor, or we want to multiply the previous term by -1. And then it wants us to get the first 5 terms. So then we'll fill this to 5 here. So then it's just going to alternate back and forth between -5 and 5. Okay, next one, we're going to have our starting term of -20. So that's going to go in A1, and then a growth factor of 0.5. So we're going to delete all of this. In the first box, we're going to put -20. The next one, we're going to do the previous term A1 times the growth factor of 0.5. Then fill the spaces. So just pull it down and it'll give you all of those terms. So -20, -10, -5, -2.5, and -1.25. Okay, then C is going to keep the -20, so we don't have to change that. Okay, but we do need to change the fact that now it's an arithmetic sequence and the rate of change is +5. Okay, is a +5. So we're going to delete all of this. Okay, so our starting term is -20, but then our next box, we want it to be the previous one +5. Okay, so we always want to do the previous term +5. We want the first 5 terms. So we'll fill this down to the 5th box and then copy these. So -20, -15, -10, -5, and 0. And then the last one has us starting with 43. It's another arithmetic sequence. The rate of change is -7. So we're going to subtract 7. So we want to delete all of this. We want to change this first term to 43. And then we want an arithmetic sequence where we take the previous one minus 7. Fill that to 5 boxes. And then copy it down. So 43, 36, 29, 22, and 15. All right, in number 5, it says, here is the graph of a sequence. Explain how you know the sequence is arithmetic, and then explain how you know the sequence is not geometric. So you want to look at the change per term number. Okay, so when we go over one term number, we see that this is 3 units higher. So over 1, we see that it's up 3. Okay, and now when we go to the next term, we see that this one is up another 3. We see it's up another 3. We see it's up another 3. We see it's up another 3. So for every term we move over, we're adding 3 to the value of the term. So we plus 3 to the value of the term each time. Okay, you can also see arithmetic because it's a straight line. So arithmetic has a constant rate of change, or it's got the same slope each time. Okay, geometric, on the other hand, okay, geometric is not straight. Okay, it changes drastically between terms. So the distance between each term changes. So this would be like up 3 and then up 6 and then up 9. It would be higher. Okay, geometric sequences have a curve like this. Okay, they look exponential or they curve. So if it's straight, okay, if the dots all line up, it's definitely arithmetic. Number 6, the first 2 terms of a geometric sequence are 6 and 3. Explain why there is only one geometric sequence for these terms. Well, there's only one number that you can multiply by 6 to get to 3. Okay, so when you say 6 times what equals 3, there's only one solution to this. So when we divide by 6 and we get 3 divided by 6, which is 1/2 or 0.5, that's the only number. Okay, so there's only one growth factor to take 6 to 3. So what are the next 3 terms of this sequence? So we have 6, 3. Remember, we're multiplying by 1/2 or dividing by 2. So we have 3 halves. Okay, when we multiply this by 1/2, okay, the top is going to be 3. The bottom is going to be 4. And then by 1/2 again, the top would stay the same. The bottom would double. Okay, so 3 halves, half of 3 halves is 3/4. Half of 3/4 is 3/8. So then those are your next 3 terms.